45, verse 16, 57th chapter, verse 26, the 2nd chapter, verse 122, and also the 7th chapter, verse 137. All of these are explaining that the covenant, the promises, was given to the nation of Yashra'al. It's all there. And then now, don't be afraid of the word Allah. All right? Because the word Allah in Hebrew is just the ayin. We have the ayin, we have the lamed, and we have the hay, and that's the Strong's number 59. 27. And simply put, the word Allah means to ascend, to bring up, to arise, to offer up, to lift up. That's what the word means. All right? And even if you were to truly listen to a Muslim would tell you that the word Allah is not actually a name. Everywhere that you see in the scriptures now, the word Allah is actually a verb. It is not a noun or a personal noun depicting a person's name. They will say that the word Allah actually it is like one of the 100 beautiful names, or it's like a title. That's all that it is. It's not an actual name. And so again, I just wanted to just touch on that, because even again the Quran talks about the favor that was poured upon the nation of Yashra'al. All right, just wanted to share that.
Hallelujah.
Now, we went to the book of Revelation, the 7th chapter, verses 1 through 8, and we did not see any of the sons of Ishmael listed amongst the 12 tribes of Israel. Was not there. So the book of Revelation, we're going to stay to verse 9 and 4. Chapter 9, verse 4. If we can have a Koti Parad, you can read that for us, please. 9 and 4.
Revelation 9 and 4. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing either, any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of the Elohim in their foreheads.
Right, and so these plagues now is going to actually now hurt those men which have not the seal of Elohim in their foreheads. Matthew the 24th chapter, verse 22. Matthew 24, verse 22. And as I can share with you, been there, done that, this whole thing with Islam. I mean, it just gets to the point when I hear it, I just kind of just turn my head, I just walk away. Just really, really walk away.
Oh, yeah.
Matthew the 24th chapter, verse 22. Koti, if you can continue reading for us, please. 24, 22. Book of Yahuah, book of Matthew.
Matthew 24, 22. And
Oh,
except
no, what? Here we go again. Verse 21.
For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world, to this time, nor even shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
And that is very, very important. It's telling us now, except those days be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, and anybody know who the elect is?
That's right.
Hallelujah. For the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. On the book of Isaiah, the 26th chapter, verses 20 to 21. If we can get brother, let's abide. Let's hear from the manager here, the supervisor.
Isaiah 26.
6, yeah. 26.
20 verses 21.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to start or wait for you?
Yes, I'm ready.
Come, my people, enter thou into thy chamber, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed. For behold, Yahuah cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain.
Right, so verse 20, there's a very important word, there's the word chambers. So come, my people, enter you into your chambers. We're talking about a wedding chamber here. And shut the doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment until the hate, the indignation or the tribulation be overpassed. For behold, the sovereign, the Father of Yahuah, cometh out of his plagues to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquities. The earth shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. Zephaniah, the 2nd chapter, verses 1. No, chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. Zephaniah. If we can get Shalak, if you can read that for us, please.
Chapter 2, verses 1 through 3.
Yes.
Zephaniah chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired, before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the shadow, before the fierce anger of Yahuah come upon you, before the day of Yahuah's anger come upon you. Seek ye Yahuah, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of Yahuah's anger.
So we're talking about this wedding chamber, this place of safety. We want to make sure that we don't have the mark of the adversary. Because we're going to... Daniel, the 12th chapter is very important, where it talks about Michael standing up for the nation of Israel in those last days here. So we want to make sure that this covering, and this covering now we talked about is a talit. The talit represents now, this is something that the man actually gives his bride, letting everybody know that she's now protected. And so Torah now teaches us now is that it's actually a covering to protect us now for all the wicked things that's going to happen on the planet Earth now, because the angels now are bringing out their vows and they're blowing these shofars, and there's going to be a lot of destruction on the planet Earth. And we want to make sure that everybody understands, nobody gets sidetracked. We're not Muslims, Seventh-day Adventists, we're not Buddhists, we're not 8, 7, 9, 10%ers, none of those things there. It's just not going to happen. You have to make sure that you have the right title attached to your name, which is Israel. We're not Nubians, Moors, all these other things there. We want to make sure that we're under the right umbrella. Make sure that you're following Torah so that you will be hid in the day of the Father's vengeance. All right. Let's keep on going. Revelation, the 8th chapter. We're going to talk about the 2nd trumpet and the 2nd plague. Revelation, the 8th chapter. Let me read that one there. Revelation, the 8th chapter, verses 8 through 9. And the second angel, or messenger, sounded as it were a great, which is a trumpet, and as it were a great mountain, burning with fire. This is what he saw now. We're talking about John the Revelator. Well, let's say this real. Watch what's happening. The second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. Verse 9. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. So we've talked about some real serious things that's about to be happening here in these last days, Mr. Picasso. I'm going to write these figures also on the board for those out there in YouTube land and Facebook land. Revelation 8 chapter verses 8 through 9. It is roughly 32 million cubic miles of salted water on the earth. 72% of earth is covered with water, 97% that is the salt ocean water and not suitable for drinking. But the scripture tells us now out of this 32 million cubic miles of water, 33% of that is going to be destroyed. So those out there in the land there, 32 million. All right? A third of that, or 33% of that, gives us 10 million 560. All right, so that's only leaving, we told it salt water here, 21,440,000. This water is going to be destroyed because it's going to be contaminated and it's going to be affected. So this is not going to be affected. This much is going to be affected. Leaving this much now, 21,440,000. 440,000 not affected. Shalak, if you can go to the book of Shemot, the 7th chapter, verse 17 to 21. The book of Shemot, the 7th chapter, the book of Exodus. All of this stuff is going to be happening during these 42 months. Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Exodus, Shemot, chapter 7, verses 17 through
17 to 21.
17 to 21. Thus saith Yahuah, in this thou shalt know that I am Yahuah. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river. And Yahuah spake unto Moses, say unto Aaron, take thy rod, and stretch out thine hand upon the waters of Egypt, Mitzrayim, upon their streams, upon their rivers, and upon their pods, and upon all their pools of water, that they may become blood, and that there may be blood throughout all the land of Mitzrayim, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone. And Moses and Aaron did so, as Yahuah commanded. And he lifted up the rod, and smote the waters that were in the river. And in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants, and all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. And the fish that was in the river died, and the river stank, and the Mitzris, with the Egyptians, could not drink of the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Mitzrayim.
Hallelujah. So we see how these plagues are operating. Letting us know, as it was at the beginning, it's going to be the same way at the end. And again, so when we begin to read the scriptures, all of this is just preparation. So again, this day should not befall any of us as a day of surprise. We should all be in almost like panic mode, meaning this, making sure that you're getting yourself prepared. Because it's documented already what's about to happen. So if you're not preparing yourself, and this day now overtakes you as a thief in the night, you only have yourself to blame. So when we began to do these lessons, Moray and I, you're going to have to ask yourself now, from the very first service where we started to teach these classes, how has your life changed from that point to now? Has anything changed? Has your conduct changed, your behavior? How do you interact with one another? Are you starting to save? Are you watching more of the news, what's going on with this guy here, Donald Trump? This is going to be a very, very long ride. A long ride. And a lot of people don't like to hear this, and so what they do now is they go back to the Christian church where they can teach them and say soft things to them. But what we're going to do now, we're going to come front and center and let everybody know that there's going to be a lot of death and turmoil around us. A lot. Even the military equipment, okay, that these superpowers have, the scriptures even tells us now is that they're going to be destroyed. Listen, John the Revelator saw something coming out of Shamayim, shaped like big as a mountain, mixed with blood, hail, and fire. It hit the waters. And when anything that big hits the waters, the first thing that's going to happen now is that because of the impact, it takes all of the oxygen out of the water and everything begins to die. And another thing that happens too now is tsunamis happen. So I pray that everybody is really reading, digesting, and understanding what's happening. And the enemy knows that these things are going to take place because he's showing us these signs in movies. The Father is working through the adversary, letting us know what's about to happen. And tonight, we only going to do plagues 1 and 2. Mishpachah, it gets worse. Worse. Drinking water is going to be scarce. Food is going to be scarce. And when these things begin to happen, and they call out martial law, you cannot call the police to come and help you. They're going to be busy taking care and trying to protect their families. So we as a congregation, I'm talking particularly now about the congregation of Yashra'al, how are we going to protect and what are we going to do to endure into the end? Okay, let's go to the second trumpet, the second plague, because things begin to continue. It is estimated now to be around 25 million different marine species. Not species in the water, but different marine species. So you probably can multiply that now probably by like another 100 million. Because the adversary can only go but so far under the water because of compression. So again, we're roughly talking about 25 million different species. And it talks about not even a third of them being destroyed. So a third of 25 million is 8,250,000, leaving us now with only 24,175,000 animals or marine life still left. This is how serious things are going to be getting. Revelation, the 16th chapter, Mishpachah. If we can get, let's go with Shammai. Revelation, the 16th chapter, verse 3. Revelation 16 and 3. You just want to make sure that everybody understands how serious this is going to get.
Revelation 16 and 3. And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea.
So we see how things is going to progress. It's talking about at one point now, 33%, okay, of life in the sea is going to be destroyed. But these plagues now, they're going to increase. It's talking about here now that it's going to come to a point where everything in the sea is going to die. Everything in the sea. Exodus, the 7th chapter, verses 17 to 21. If we can have Shalak to read that for us, and if we can get Abad to do Ezekiel, the 16th chapter, verse 38, and we'll be done with tonight's class. So Exodus, the 7th chapter, verse 17 to 21. Exodus, Shemot, the 7th chapter, verse 17 to 21. Shalak is on you.
7.
Yep. 17 to 21.
Oh, I'm sorry, you said Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Shemot, Exodus chapter 7, starting at verse 17.
Well, you read that one already. Yeah, you read that one.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Ezekiel, the 16th chapter, please, 38. If you can get then Abad to finish us off with Ezekiel, the 16th chapter, verse 38.
Ezekiel 16:38.
Mm-hmm.
And I will judge thee as women that break wedlock and shed blood are judged, and I will give thee blood in fury and in jealousy.
Right, hallelujah. So when a woman breaks wedlock, what is the sentence? Death. So there's going to be a lot of death, Mishpachah. And we only at Vials 1 and 2, we did that, and Trumpets 1 and 2. So again, things are really beginning to heat up. Really beginning to heat up. And the reason why I wanted to express so much these numbers here, because I'm praying and hoping the congregation of Yashra'al and those that are listening might see how severe things are going to really get. Now, all in the span of 42 months. 42 months. Next week, we're going to step it up a little bit more because we're going to begin to talk about survival things that I believe that we might need. And we're going to need to really talk about, again, survival things. Because again, we must make sure that we have enough, we're able to ration out things enough to last for 42 months. Because there are going to be some things that we have to do. You know, the Father, He is going to blow that shofar in the 7th month. He's going to gather us and everything like that. But those things are going to happen now after the tribulation, not before. So, again, he that endureth unto the end shall be saved. Any questions? Oh. Okay, so, Mishpachah, yeah, but that's what I wanted to do again, to just show everybody about these birth pains and everything like that. And with these birth pains, and I'll just touch on it. All of this is centered around, when we look at these plagues and this trumpet sounding, it's actually now showing us what actually happens now when a woman begins to bring forth a baby. And we're going to go into that, all right, with these prophetic shadow pictures, because again, we're in captivity. And she's going to come out of captivity. And what's going to be coming out of this great horde is a people called Israel. The same way that Egypt gave birth, or she came out of captivity, is going to be the same thing where the bursting of water, the blood, the 10 plagues that the Father placed upon the Egyptians, and then came the nation of Yashra'al going through the Reed Sea, which represents a mikvah, a baptism, being immersed, and then the Father now washing us up, and then after you were thoroughly washed, then He takes you to the next ceremony, and the next ceremony is no, after the washing and everything like that, because we come out
Marriage.
right, married. Yeah, Shavuot. Exactly. So, Mr. Cobb, that's what I wanted to bring out tonight. Okay, then we're going to go into a little bit more details with these plagues and these trumpets. It is going to show how what's going to come out of all of this now is the nation of Yashra'al. But she must make sure that she's under the right banner, which is following Torah.
Hallelujah.
All right? Okay, Mr. Cobb, that's what we have tonight.